Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Brewz'd Balls, the podcast that does three things. Talks beer, talks football, and bruises egos. Before we get into tonight's topic, we got to start with our beer for the night. It wouldn't be Brewz'd Balls without a brew, right? And I guess you can call this technically a brew. It's a Smirnoff Ice. It's the choice of drink for college freshman girls everywhere. Cheers. Oh, God. That is sugary. I don't know if I could do more than one of those. I haven't had one of these in like a decade. All right. Let's get into our topic. Cue the title screen. Before we get into tonight's podcast, let me ask you, first of all, to go like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me put out more NFL content that you love as we are inching our way closer and closer to the 2024 season. As of the time of recording, we are about 9 days away from the NFL season starting. And one of the things that I love about football more than any other sport that I've watched is what we demand from our stars. We demand authenticity as well as the ability to do it at the highest level. In basketball, we don't really look for that. We kind of want icons. We want godly figures in basketball. We want flash, and we want them to have interests in fashion, and we want them to make political statements. Football is more of the sport of the everyman. It is something that we relate to. It's tough, big men doing tough, big men things. Tackling, hitting, throwing, kicking. It's what we resonate with as an audience. And I think that, at least speaking for myself, I love that sort of authenticity. It's what makes me gravitate towards quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, because they are all authentically themselves. And what makes me kind of detest, I guess you could say in a word, players like Russell Wilson or Zach Wilson, two Wilsons right there back to back, because they are not authentic. Derek Carr is another one. They're not authentic. They seem to put on a facade of what the media wants them to be versus who they actually are. And of course, you hear stories all the time about those guys that they aren't good teammates or that they're self-absorbed. And I bring that up because I believe the Chargers are in a unique position. They have found the most authentic coach in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh is, without a doubt, authentic. I mean, he's done it everywhere he's gone. He's done the same thing. He's run the same sort of program. He's had success at every stop that he's been to. Does that mean that he's always the easiest to get along with? Absolutely not. But he is 100% himself, and he does things his way. And I kind of feel like the Chargers are in a unique position because their season kind of reminds me of an episode of Hell's Kitchen, or at least this season going forward, is that the previous owner, previous chef, messed everything up, completely fucked it 3 ways sideways. The bathrooms are a mess, the food is disgusting, the kitchen is dirty, the staff is rude, and the customers are thinking about not coming back. Enter Gordon Ramsay, or Jim Harbaugh in this case, and they have to completely flip the entire culture of the restaurant on its head. And Gordon Ramsay only has a couple of weeks to do it. At least we perceive that from the episode and how long it is versus the length of time that he goes through an episode. But Jim Harbaugh now has 1 season to get the players' buy-in. And that's something that the Chargers did not have. Jim runs his team the way old school smash mouth football was made to be run. It's built from the inside out. As a former quarterback himself, he understands that he's got a special talent in Justin Herbert. Now it's about building outside of Justin Herbert, but it starts actually inside the offensive line, which you can tell he's already attacking. Rashawn Slater was there before he got there. That's good, but he drafted Joe Alt as his number 1 overall pick. He could have gone with anybody. He could have gone with Malik Neighbors. He could have gone with Rome Odunze. He could have gone with Xavier Legette. But he chose to draft one of the best offensive line prospects and tackle prospects in the last couple of years. Why? Because he knows the way that his system is run. Now, I say all that to say this. The Chargers are not going to be good this year. They won't. This is a team that is built for future success. But if you're a media member or a Chargers fan or a football fan in general that believes that the Chargers are going to have this great season because they have Jim Harbaugh, you're sadly mistaken. This is an offense that ranked 18th overall last year with names that were all over the map. They had star power everywhere. Herbert, Pro Bowl quarterback. Austin Eckler, Pro Bowl running back. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett. Not to mention on defense, you had Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. There were names all over. This was a true Los Angeles team. Stars everywhere. And they grossly underachieved. 18th in total offense is ridiculous for the amount of talent that they had on their roster, which led us to believe this was a coaching issue, not a talent issue. Now, here's the good news. You got rid of the cancer. Brandon Staley is out the window. He's not an NFL coach. I don't think he ever will be again. He'll probably get a job as a defensive coordinator at his next highest position, but frankly, he's more of a positions coach, a DB coach or a linebackers coach. And this was also, by the way, he was a defensive guy who had this defense ranked 28th overall. And they were just awful, as kind of capped off by that terrible 63-21 win, or loss, I should say, over the Las Vegas Raiders in Thursday Night Football last year in December. The good thing about the Chargers this season is, like I said, they've got buy-in. So they're going to do things a specific way. They brought in two capable running backs, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Not great, not elite. And they don't have a lot of weapons on offense. They drafted Ladd McConkey, who's going to be fun to watch, but let's be real. He wasn't even a top 5 wide receiver prospect in this year's draft. You had 4 guys for sure that were ahead of him. And, he's just not explosive enough. He's not a guy that's going to blow you off the water in terms of his athletic ability. He's more of a create space, find different angles to work himself open, and he's going to have a nice career. His rookie season, I bet you he finishes somewhere between 45 and 60 receptions. He'll have an okay year. But the Chargers don't have anybody else. This is a team that is a work in progress. This is not a team that is going to be a 9-win team. In fact, this is a sub-6-win team. I think the Chargers finish with 5 wins on the season. They're probably going to come in their own division. I bet you they split with Vegas, and I bet you they split with Denver. They're going to get blown out by the Chiefs. It's not even going to be close. But Jim Harbaugh is doing something that old school coaches were known for. These new school coaches, they're, flash, and they're X's and O's and creative offensive minds. Jim Harbaugh says, look, I'm going to put my best players on that offensive line. They're going to dictate the flow of our offense. Thank God we've got a top 10 quarterback in Justin Herbert to execute this offense like a surgeon, not like a gunslinger. That's not his game. He's not Brett Favre. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He needs a little bit more structure in his game rather than just go off willy-nilly and ad lib. So Jim Harbaugh is going to do the right thing by this team. It's just not going to be this year. And as a Bears fan, I can tell you this. I'm familiar with what we've done. If you remember that 2018 season when Ryan Poles stepped in as the Bears GM, he cleaned house. He traded Khalil Mack away. He traded Roquan Smith away. We had one of the worst offensive rosters in the league just a couple of years ago. And now look at us. We're loaded all over the place. Keenan Allen, Rome, DJ Moore. We finessed the absolute shit out of the Carolina Panthers in that Bryce Young deal. I believe the Chargers are on the right path, but everybody's got to take a breath because all I've been hearing is, Jim Harbaugh is going to have this team at 9 wins this year, 10 wins this year. Pump the brakes. He's not. This is not going to be a good team. But what you will see is a team that fights hard, maximum effort, playing hard in between the hash marks. The lines are going to be better, defense and offense. Jim has said it multiple times. The way to win in football is to have the offensive lines and defensive lines do their jobs first. Everything else comes second. So in the future, yes, you're going to see more free agents coming to Los Angeles. They're going to want to play for Harbaugh. You're going to see more drafting of skill players like running backs and wide receivers. It's just going to take some time. That's all. Just a little bit of time. And of course, it wouldn't be Brewz'd Balls without our Brewz'd Balls segment of the day. So who was getting kicked in the nuts? Cheers to you, Dallas Cowboys. All right, here's why I say that. Did anybody watch that abysmal performance from Trey Lance this last game? Now, he threw 49 times, played almost the entire game. In fact, I do think he played the entire game. There was one reason why that happened. Jerry Jones was like, this is it. This is what we are using to see if Trey has what it takes. And did he fail spectacularly? 5 interceptions in one game. A preseason game against backups is insane. And now I get it. Not all of them were his fault. In fact, no one of them for a fact was not. It was dropped by his receiver. But still, even if you take that away, 4 interceptions against backups is nuts. Now, there's only one reason that the Dallas Cowboys brought in Trey Lance. They were grooming him to be the next Dak Prescott. Hell, they have the exact same build when Dak came into the league. Trey literally looks like a younger version of Dak. And they did this because Dak's going to be asking in this third contract for $60 million a year, and Jerry Jones does not want to pay it. Not for a guy who's had limited playoff success like Dak has. So the Cowboys, thinking that they were onto something, hey, let's give Trey Lance a chance because Kyle Shanahan did so well with him. Kyle Shanahan shipped him out the second that he knew Trey was not the player. He was like, we got to get rid of him. We whiffed on the 3rd round pick. We found Brock Purdy who can execute my offense way better. Sayonara, don't let the door hit you. What was Jerry Jones thinking? Mike McCarthy could get something out of Trey? Could develop Trey? Please. Kyle Shanahan is one of the most brilliant offensive mind in the game today. And you thought Mike McCarthy, who Aaron Rodgers would roll his eyes at in the middle of a huddle, is going to do anything. The Cowboys at this point, they're so concerned with being America's team and being worth $10 billion that they're forgetting that this game is built with talent. It's built with talent. It's built with good draft picks. It's built with getting free agents in the offseason. It's not just about drafting the Dallas Cowboys. We are so confident in our drafting ability. You've got to take chances, not risks. You've got to take chances, not risk. Trey Lance was a risk. Chances are, hey, we're going to develop Shedeur Sanders. We're going to draft him next year. We're going to move up and try and take him and see if he could be our next franchise quarterback. Otherwise, you're stuck with a $60 million B- quarterback in Dak Prescott. That's all for me today. We will see you on another episode of Brewz'd Balls. Just another quick reminder to like, subscribe, and comment. It helps me push out all the NFL content that you want to see. And of course, I am the Moose, and I will see you later.